Sunday, and welcome on in D-backs fans to another fun episode of D-backs Dispatch. As we're here to discuss the series over the Chicago Cubs that thankfully they split. If you guys did miss our opening day talk and discussion where we kind of went over game one, a lot of the bulk, we're not really going to touch on game one, so go over to that episode, check that out. Also check out these two gentlemen. They did an emergency pod on Friday. I was a little bit busy, but they got on here. They did talk about Brandon Pfaadt's extension, which was some pretty exciting news that I was not expecting. So that's a great listen. Make sure you guys go check that out. But if this is your first time in here in general D-backs Dispatch, we want to welcome you on in. I'm Brett. We got Gabe to my, I guess, on your left, and then on your right, we have Brandon. Welcome you on in. We got our man Josh on the ones and twos, making all the magic happen in the background. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. It does help the algorithm and all that. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, all those other places. A ton of great content always going on over there, especially whenever Gabe or our man Josh are cooking up some fine memes. Make sure you guys join the Discord. It is in the description below. It's free to join. You guys don't have to pay anything to get in there. Then also make sure you guys go to azsnakepit.com. Check out all the articles that we have over there, because there is a ton of great stuff being posted pretty much every single day, multiple times a day. And I think you guys would like what we have over there. So make sure you guys go over to azsnakepit.com. But like I said, we're here to discuss this series split the D-backs had with the Chicago Cubs, which was definitely not looking like it was going to be a split. But we'll save that for the very end, and we'll go in chronological order here. I do want to welcome in everybody in our YouTube comments here into the chat. M, Vi, Shug, welcome everybody in. Corbin Barrels, our man as well. Appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning in. It is always a pleasure to have you guys here. Joining on in with us and having some fun. But like I said, we're going to break things down chronologically in order. So game one, obviously opening day, they lost. That wasn't a fun one, but opening day vibes are always great. Game two, they came back with a vengeance. Mostly thanks to Eugenio Suarez. Gino had 2 home runs in that game, some absolute mammoth blasts. He was very upset about the Cubs pitching up and into him and almost hitting him in the head twice in a row. Alek Thomas was 3 for 4 with 2 really hard hit doubles. That was great to see from our young king. The offense just kind of exploded in the 4th inning, and they really didn't look back. Like I said, 8-1. Once they got that lead, they just kind of went off from there. Pavin Smith, our Ginger King himself, the best DH in D-backs history. I'm sorry, I can't joke too much. He went 3 for 3 with 2 doubles, so it's good to see from him. Looks like he is kind of halfway through spring, kind of figured something out in his swing and has been keeping it rolling into the regular season. And then Merrill Kelly, the mainstay, did have his opening or his first start of the 2025 season. It was pretty solid. He pitched in the 6th inning, going 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts on just 85 pitches. So that was really nice to see and pretty efficient. 51 of them were strikes. And then, like I said, with the offense going off in the 4th, the offense in general was just really solid. They had 8 extra base hits in this ball game. So they were just slapping the ball all over the gaps and just running amok on the bases. So it was really nice to see them, kind of bounce back from that tough opening day loss. But the first topic that we had here, obviously from game 2, was, as I mentioned, Merrill, the mainstay. Merrill Kelly had a really strong start here, which is definitely what we needed after the what we kind of saw from Zach Gallen and getting roughed up a little bit in game 1. So my question for you guys, obviously, after Merrill went, the 5 1/3, like I mentioned, is Merrill Kelly the most underrated pitcher in the National League? What factors contribute to him not getting more national recognition? Gabe, I'm going to start with you as always.
I think it's just the fact that, one, he plays in Arizona. Just in general, anybody on our team, I think, is always going to be underrated just because they play here. Like we saw, just the fact that Ketel Marte was 3rd in MVP voting last year tells you all you need to know about the media bias against Arizona. With Merrill, he's been here through the good and through the bad, and I think that's one of the reasons why he doesn't get the recognition he deserves, just because he was here for such a long time with the bad teams that sometimes he just doesn't have the flashy numbers in terms of wins, because he could go seven innings and he still wouldn't win. But I think one of the issues also is just he doesn't have the velocity. He doesn't have the same flash. He's not striking out 10 guys a night the same way a lot of the big name pitchers in the league do. But he has been, like I said, a mainstay. a very important piece of this rotation since he's been up here. And but I think that's just the thing. It's the media bias that they don't pay much attention to him. But everyone else, if you listen to an interview with any player or coach or pitcher, or even when they have on players, to do like little guest spots on broadcasts, they all rave about him. They all talk about like, yeah, this guy is just incredible. Just the different looks he gives you and stuff. So the actual players and coaches and everything, they rave about him. I think it's just a media thing, but it's one of those things where you just have to put up with it. It is what it is, and what matters is that he comes in, he does his job, and he stops depleting.
Yes, I kind of agree with you on everything on that point. He is just, if he was on any other team like the Yankees, even the Dodgers, he would be probably talked about a lot more and more well known around baseball. Even on the broadcast, I think they're talking. He's 37, so he's definitely like he's not like super old, but he's not like a spring chicken out there. And I think it's kind of a name that people might not know as well if you're not watching a bunch of National League West baseball. And it's again, you're going to be a little bit of an underrated guy, but he's just super efficient. Like, he's always had other than, the injury issues, he's always been, that's the reason why he's the mainstay. For so many years, he was like our innings eater. He was the guy going out there where it's like, hey, you know what? We're expecting him to give us at least 6 innings of, good ball every single time. Obviously, every pitcher is going to have a bad outing. He's not free from that as well. We did see every now and then he would get roughed up, but I mean, there's so many times where he would be, picking up the slack from the rest of the starting rotation, going 5, 6, 7+ innings, and would just be, super reliable. So I think I do agree with you. It's definitely a name that if he was on any other team in a little bit of a bigger market, he would be, talked about way more than he already is. But Brandon, I'm going to ask the same question to you. Obviously, are you on the same, kind of wavelength with Gabe and I about Merrill Kelly being, the most underrated pitcher in the National League? And then also, like, what factors do you personally think contribute to him just not getting that, national recognition that I think a lot of us here as D-backs fans think he deserves?
No offense, he's not the most underrated pitcher in the National League. No offense. That's Zach Wheeler. The fact that Zach Wheeler doesn't have at least 1 or 2 Cy Youngs at this point, but I will say he is a top underrated pitcher in the National League for sure. And I think a lot of people just forgot how good he was because of how much time he missed last year. So many sports fans, it's what have you done for me lately and what have you done for me recently? Like he pitched, I think only like 70 to 75 innings last year. Didn't pitch a lot. One of the things I love about Merrill is you don't know what pitches he will throw to strike you out. Like it's kind of a joke, but it's not. Like he literally throws the kitchen sink at you. He threw 85 pitches. 29 were four-seamers, 17 sinkers, 13 sliders, 13 changeups, 8 curveballs, and 5 cutters. So like it was outside of that fastball, you don't know what pitch is coming with Merrill. And that's one of the and like his command of the strike zone is simply phenomenal. Merrill might be probably in my top 10 favorite pitcher in D-backs history. Like how far he's come from legit being the worst starting pitcher in the National League. Like if you follow this team closely, you know, Torrey told him, you're this close to being cut. You are this close. And he turned it around, and he's turned it around. And he's been one of the most. There's a reason why his nickname is the mainstay, because we know if he's healthy and he doesn't cramp up, he will get you 5 innings at least. I think he still has that streak, but I haven't looked it up, but I believe he had some ridiculous streak, and he still might have that streak of most consecutive at going at least 5 innings. Like Merrill Kelly.
I believe he had that broken last year against the Rays in a game, because I'm pretty sure he got touched up pretty rough last year near the end.
Okay, but I know that it was a pretty when they did the list, it was Merrill and everyone, who? Merrill Kelly is just he'd probably be a 2 on this team. He's there for I know that he started before Fott, but I truly feel at this point Fott's the 3 and Merrill's the 4. That's not a bad number 4 starter to have. Merrill Kelly is a phenomenal pitcher. And if we can get 30 starts out of Merrill Kelly, like, be really amazing. So simply amazing. Great. And we didn't have to worry about the one thing that we all fear whenever he starts to chase the field, and that's cramps.
Yeah,
So,
say if
oh,
you're breaking up a little bit. All right, I think we're good. So you're breaking up just a little bit there, so I think we're all caught up there. But yeah, say he's just a really solid and efficient pitcher, and I think it'll be definitely very interesting coming into the off season whenever we finally get there. Because again, we still have 150 plus games to get to, so we don't have to worry about it yet. But he is going to be potentially a free agent this year, so it'll be interesting how they address that situation when they get to it. But in this game, obviously, it wouldn't have been 8-1, and it might have been 8-1, but the score would have been drastically different if it wasn't for one man, as you saw in those highlights. Eugenio Suarez was definitely, very upset still about those pitches coming up and in, and he decided to take his aggression out on 2 different Jameson Taillon meatballs, where he went I think 420 plus on both of them, or at least 415 plus. It looked like he was just clobbering those baseballs, and hit his 3rd home run in the first 2 games, and eventually hit his 4th home run in the first 3 games. But we'll get to that one. We'll save that for the chronological next topic or the next game that we get to. But Gino was just insanely good this game, and it's great to see him start off like this after seeing him really struggle out of the gates last year. And I think that if we can get this kind of Gino all year, we might see a 40 plus bomb Gino, and that'd be chef's kiss. But my question to you, gentlemen, obviously everybody in chat, you guys, I'm always curious to hear your guys' thoughts as well, or even if you're listening to this after the fact on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or even just on the YouTube replay, let us know in the comments as well. With Gino's hot start, will Suarez hit more home runs than any player on the Yankees next series? And the reason why I mainly ask this is because the Yankees, with their torpedo bat, they have been absolutely slugging the fuck out of the ball. Aaron Judge had 3 home runs in one game. I think they had 9 total in Saturday's affair. They now have 15 in general. So do you think that Gino will hit more runs than any player in the Yankees in this next series? Or do you think that maybe his bat's going to cool a little bit down once they go to a little bit cooler weather?
I don't see why he wouldn't keep up this sort of production, just because of the fact that how short Yankee Stadium is. I mean, he was hitting 420-foot bombs. I mean, they're damn near going to fall out of this, come out of the stadium at that point over there. And everyone's talking about the Yankees, like, oh, how many home runs they're hitting with, it's a new torpedo bats. Half of those that they've been hitting were just all wall scrapers, like 310 feet off the bat. And I think the D-backs just have better pitching than the Milwaukee Brewers do at this point in the season, at least. They don't have Brandon Woodruff back either. I don't know if Freddie Peralta's even on the team. He might be.
He's opening day starter.
Okay, yeah. But those bombs that they hit, I mean, it's just a lot of really bad pitchers. I mean, Nestor is not that great of a pitcher anyways. So I trust Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, and Merrill Kelly to throw good games, especially if they're using the A bullpen. I don't see why the D-backs couldn't clobber them. I think the Yankee starters, the D-backs, are just going to be better than them offensively. So yeah, I think Gino, in terms of Gino, if he hits, I don't think he's going to hit 4. I think if he hits 2 this series, I think I would be, if he hits more than 2, I think I'd be more surprised. But I don't think anybody, maybe Judge, but with how, and I'm going to say the Yankees lineup isn't as strong as it was last year. They're good, but again, it's early in the season. They're playing against the Brewers, who aren't very good. So I can see the D-backs having a little bit more control over the games and better pitching. So maybe they might work around Aaron Judge so he doesn't hit as many home runs as he did against the Brewers. So Gino, yeah, I don't see why he couldn't hit 2 or 3 home runs and be the leading scorer.
Yeah, so after Aaron Judge hit an absolute fucking piss missile off Aaron Savali today, I believe they intentionally walked him twice. So there's going to be a point where he might just get the Bonds treatment. So if that's the case, obviously I hope the D-backs don't do that unless they're up by big and they don't really have to worry about putting runners on. But it's going to be a key as long as I can avoid those short porch homers, and if Gino can keep his bat nice and toasty on the trip up to New York, I can definitely see the possibility of him out homering them. But again, it's just one of those where as long as we win, a sweep would obviously be nice. But the Yankees, so if the Brewers are 3-0, I just want to win. I want to continue this hot streak going into New York, and then because it seems like sometimes when they make those trips out to the East Coast, the bats can go a little bit quiet. So I'm hoping they don't do that, and I would really enjoy Gino doing it. But Brandon, same question to you: is with Gino's hot start, do you think that he will have more home runs than any player this next series? And then also, I want to say to everybody in the comments, I know Jeff brings up a great question that we'll probably save to the end, especially once we do a little series preview. So if you guys have any questions, put them down in the comments. We'll star them, and we'll try to do like a little rapid fire for any questions that you guys have once we, kind of finish covering the Cubs series. But Brandon, again, same question to you: do you think that he'll have more home runs than any players on the Yankees this next series?
It's a really great question, and it all depends on does Torrey keep him in the lineup where he has him right now, like sixth? I know everyone's like, why do you not put him third or fourth? It's worked, in my opinion, these first 4 games, having him in that sixth spot, because there's guys ahead of him that are getting on base. Marte, Carroll, Naylor. I mean, can't really count Gurriel. Pavin, like Grichuk, like these guys are getting on base where they have to pitch to Gino. Like they can't pitch around him because who's behind him? It's been Gabby or Perdomo. And Gabby has had a great start to the year. Geraldo Perdomo has also had a really good start to the year. So whatever Gino's doing and whatever he has been doing since July 1st of last year, if there's a routine that you do when you get to the ballpark, Gino, keep doing it. I don't care what it is. Just keep doing it because it's working. This man is literally walking fire. I truly am amazed of how well Gino is playing right now. I think outside of Judge, I think he'll probably hit more homers than anyone else on the Yankees. I think Judge is the only one that probably won't. I think Judge also has 4, right? So they're both kind of right there. So I'm really loving what Gino is doing right now, and he's playing serviceable defense. Yes, he had that one error in game 1, but for the most part, he's played pretty well on defense. And we don't need him to play Gold Glove. We just need him to be legit average. That's because of his bat right now. So yeah, I just want Gino to just keep doing what you're doing. If you wake up and you do something first thing, or you get to the ballpark and you do something, just keep doing it. That's all I care about, Gino. Just keep whatever routine you have.
Yeah, say baseball players, I feel like more than a lot of other athletes, are very superstitious and very routine oriented, as we know, especially with Corbin Burns and his routine. But Gino did himself have a few thoughts after his pretty hot start to the series, especially his 2 home runs in game 2, and I believe we have that video clip right now.
Do my best, try to have the team win the game. I was good at best about me. I was ready to attack him with his best pitch. I think my first at bat was a cutter. I was ready for that one. Like I always say, I never try to hit the homers, but put in my best swing on, and then he make that mistake right there, and I was ready to put him in my best swing on. I mean, obviously I got that on my, but I don't try. Like I said, I don't try to hit a homer. I want to hurt them. And I did it, 2 homers. I mean, I guess they tried to beat me difficult, but I was ready for them, and I got that on my. I know they not try hit me, I guess, but obviously that hurt. I don't want nobody help me hurt my body because I never done do something wrong to them. But the best way is how I did it today, hit a couple homers and help my team win the game.
I really like that a lot. The fact that he's like, I don't want them to hurt my body, but it seems like he's like, but I'm going to hurt that baseball because my God, he was hitting piss missiles out there, dude.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised they didn't do anything. Like after like the third time, I'm like, man, you can't even issue a warning. Like I know he's not hitting them, but you got to say something at some point. Like you can lose control of the game like so easy like that. Like I know this isn't the 80s or 90s where you do it once and suddenly it's an all out brawl, but still, I'm like, if they got him in the face, like that's how much time could you take off because of that? Like super dangerous. Like if you can't control your pitching and throwing up and in like that, then don't throw it up and in. Like I'm sorry, but if you suck at it, don't do it. But I wanted to bring up real quick about there's two guys I think they can give Gino a run for their money, and one of them is just going to be dependent on how much playing time he has. But the first one, I think it's Gurriel, just because of how he's been smoking balls. He almost hit a home run on Thursday, just right at the wall. It was a home run at Yankee Stadium. I looked it up, and he's just been smoking the ball like crazy. It's just been straight to defenders. All he needs to do is straighten that ball up a little bit, and he hit a home run today. So I do think if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Gurriel. It's just who's, like I said, just because of the peripherals about the exit velos that he has, he just has to straighten it out a little bit. And the other one is Alec. I think with that short porch, Alec, I think can he get hit maybe even 3 home runs. The only issue is Torrey going to play him?
Yeah, so even Jeff's kind of bringing up in the comments here, he's saying, I think some of the lefties like Carroll, Thomas, Naylor, and Pavin are going to go off with that short point to right field. Several of the hits today would have been out in Yankee Stadium. And again, we're going to save a little bit more of the Yankee talk for the end, but since you brought it up, that was a great point where if just because of the shorter wall, there's a lot of hits, especially the fly out and the sacrifice fly that Alec had in today's game, that probably would have been gone there. And even like maybe Naylor's double off the wall, Corbin's double, like a lot of hits that, because Chase Field is, especially center field, it's where your home runs go to die. Like you're not hitting much out of Chase Field and center field, where ballpark like Yankee Stadium, they might go out. So it was just nice to see Gino in general, and just the team in a whole just kind of bounce back. And because you actually brought up Alec a little bit there, a perfect segue, so I appreciate that. Is that a quick follow-up here before we get on to the Game 3 unfortunate loss that we had? But in regards, obviously, there's a lot of discussion after the opening day game, especially with, Jake McCarthy in the play in center field and all that. So because Alec Thomas did go off in this game, obviously the 3 for 4, just really solid. Even that one diving play by, I believe, Horner, their second baseman, who just barely missed it. Like it popped in and out of the glove. Still an absolute piss missile from Alec. It was nice to see him hit something at second base that wasn't just a ground ball. So my question to you, gentlemen, is how long does Alec need to be consistent to become the everyday starting fielder or starting center fielder, and not just be a platoon bat and getting a start here and there?
I don't think it depends on Alec. I think it's going to depend on Jake. If Jake continues to be as bad as he's been, I believe he doesn't have a hit yet. So
Nope.
Ryan Nelson in one at bat has more hits than Jake McCarthy does in 12 at bats or whatever it is now. And that's why I posted, that was like 2 days ago, and that's how long it's been now. That Jake was 22 for his last 101 or whatever it was that I posted, his last 101 at bats, and that was not even counting the other hits that he had the other day and today. He's been bad. He's been very bad for the last, I know the whole thing about, those last year, so it doesn't matter. But if I can, people can cherry pick his first half stats against lefties from last season, I can cherry pick his last September, because that's a lot closer than an entire year ago from now. Jake had a great first half of the season. He had a terrible second half. It's just the way it is. And especially that left-handed thing, everyone was raving about, oh, look how great he is against left-handers. He wasn't great against left-handers after July. It evened out, and he ended up batting like 150 the rest of the way against lefties. And that's why at the end of the season, I'm like, put Alec in. Like, they're both not going to be playing great offensively. I'd rather have the defense out there, and it cost him a couple of games. I truly believe if Alec was out there for a couple of those games, it probably would have made the playoffs. And I think this season
San
too.
Francisco. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, San Francisco. That's not even the only one either. Like,
I know it's
there's
just
so
the
many. It's the one like truly
most.
bad. Yeah. But yeah, I think for Alec, it's just gonna depend on Jake. And like, I don't know how long this team can gaslight itself into believing that Jake is the better option right now, because Alec is the better option. He didn't look completely lost against left-handers, the left-hander today compared to the other years. So it doesn't matter if it's righty or lefty. I'd rather have Alec out there. especially with the way he's hitting the ball right now. But just that defense, man. Yankee Stadium, that center field is as short as a short porch are. That center field is massive.
Yes, it's definitely going to need him to come out that series. But I believe the nice thing is there's only I believe there's only one lefty in the upcoming series, which again we'll kind of touch on a little bit more. So should be hopefully seeing 2 games of Alex starting in center field, or hopefully maybe even all 3. But Jake's still going to get a start in there just because I know Torrey wants to get his bat going. But I do agree with you. Like he's definitely especially if he's hitting the way he is. There's a good reason why, and again, Jake's still a solid player, but there's a reason why Alek Thomas is one of our highest rated prospects at the time he was called up, and why Jake was kind of just a really, he was a good player. He wasn't as highly touted as a guy like Alek, because when Alek is, barreling the ball up the way he is, he's a really special player. You had even a 250 hitter, 260 with that Gold Glove defense, like that's all-star shit right there.
Yeah, and there's a reason why, like throughout, a lot of people in our comments, either here or on Twitter, they'll say, "Oh, well, Alec can't hit," and the reason why we defend him so much is just because you say, like, look, he's hitting the ball at 105. Eventually, that's gonna find a gap. He's hitting the ball at 110. That, like, those find gaps eventually, and it happened to him today. Having Gurriel, Corbin as well. Like, eventually, those super hard hit balls find gaps, and right now, Jake, everything he's hitting is on the ground, just super soft little floaters or little pop-ups. Like there's nothing that I've seen so far from Jake where I'm like, okay, like he's gonna come around. He's not barreling up the ball. He's not hitting the ball 110 miles an hour. Corbin Carroll, I believe, had a 115 mile per hour line out the other day. Like
right at Kyle Tucker. Right at Kyle Tucker.
Like you see, them hitting the ball super hard, and like, okay, they're gonna come out of this. It's just the batting average and balls in play is just screwing them over right now. And Jake right now, doesn't matter if it's batting average and ball in play or whatever. There's no bad. Like he's just not been good.
Yes, as Josh is bringing up in our comments here, don't be that fan on TikTok who sat in front of Alex's dad in batting coach. Which, if you guys haven't seen the clip, fucking hilarious, honestly.
Maybe rundown. They should, because he's been hitting really well since. Just saying.
I mean, maybe, but for you guys that don't know, basically quick rundown is after that the Jake play on opening day, he was like, man, Alek would have made that play, and I think somebody behind him would have said Alek would have made that play. And he's like, yeah, but he also would have, grounded out to the second baseman. And the person that fan said it to was actually Alek Thomas's dad and his hitting coach, which was
supposedly.
I mean, supposedly, but still, like, again, that doesn't seem like somebody would just like lie about necessarily. Like it seems like there's too many details in there to kind of like fake with that. But either way,
people will do anything for clout.
I mean, fair, that is true. But either way, that was just a hilarious video to watch. But Brandon, same question to you. Are you kind of on the same page as Gabe? But how long does Alek need to be a consistent everyday center fielder and not just a platoon center fielder, especially even like Jeff Irving is bringing up here? He's saying that not that long, considering Jake literally hasn't gotten a hit and has some tough plays in center.
For me, Alek, if he could hit 220, for me, if he hits 220, then that is enough for me, because he's going to be in the bottom of the lineup. And the way he plays defense. That's why I defend him so hard, is his defense is Gold Glove caliber. Like he literally saves runs. Like, and the way that he's been hard to hit after hard hit after hard hit. Now, him and McCarthy technically have the same number of RBI, 3, but Jake doesn't have a hit. Jake is 0 for 9. Alek what was it? I just looked it up. He's 5 for 7. 714 and he literally, I don't know, 10 feet from tying the game today. Like he's hitting the ball well right now. And I think they need to play him consistently. Like I know we faced Carlos Rodon in this series. If Jake gets a couple of hits in game 1 or gets a hit in game 1, I play him against Carlos Rodon. I do. Like he's just like, I know why, because his history shows that he can't hit lefties. But if you don't give him a chance to play against lefties, how does he get better? Like that's the one thing that's always kind of frustrated me about platoon numbers, is like if they have like 200 career at bats, they just give up on it. I'm like, Well, how are they supposed to get better if you don't give him a shot? So, unless Jake starts to hit again, then we have that discussion. But right now, Alex should be playing every day because he's the one with the hot hand right now. Like he's just playing like he's getting on base, and that's what matters is getting on base to be able to score. And just they were the 2 home runs that the Cubs hit today that I already knew they were homers because Alex stopped really running. Like Jake, I feel like would have kept running because he couldn't read the ball. So I'm all for Alec Thomas. Now, if his back cools off, that's when we have that discussion. But right now, I think Alex should be playing every day in center.
Yeah, so even as Jeff bringing it up in the comments, I know Josh highlighted it, but he was saying that Alec has elite underlying metrics too. 47 hard hit percentage, 17% K rate, 110 max exit velocity, and elite swing decisions. Top pick by many to break out with the bat this year. And if he can continue swinging like this, even on the broadcast, they brought up multiple times that a healthy Alec Thomas is a great sight to see. And again, even like I mentioned earlier, he was a top prospect for a reason. He is our young king for a reason, and I think we're going to hopefully see that from him throughout the season. And we're gonna see why a lot of people, especially us, probably here in the offseason, were saying, "Hey, if you're gonna trade anybody, like trade Jake, like trade high on Jake, don't trade low on Alec Thomas because he has better underlying metrics, and is just the better pick." But again, it'll be something to look out for in this Yankee series, especially with that short porch. Maybe him and Jake, maybe he stays hot and Jake gets going, but who knows? We'll have to look out for that. But moving on into Game 3, this one was definitely not the ending that a lot of us thought. As at least it started off decent. Before the game even started, like I said, Brandon Pfaadt did get his extension, and he is going to be paid handsomely. Maybe not like Juan Soto handsomely, but he's at least getting the payday. He doesn't have to worry about rookie contracts or anything like that for a while. And in his first start of the season, and obviously first one since getting that payday, he was pretty solid. It was pretty nice day. He went 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks on 78 pitches. And again, pretty efficient. 54 of those pitches were strikes. The bats did not show up, though, unfortunately, as they kind of went cold against Shota Imanaga. He was really solid. He shoved for 7 innings and only gave up 3 hits. Gino did show up again in the 9th. His bat was just scorching. Hit a 2-run shot to make it a 4-3 game in the 9th inning. Again, his 4th already and 3rd game in a row with the home run. As we mentioned, Jake McCarthy struggled, and even the stats were put in here, I believe, by Gabe, saying that since September of last year, he's 22 for 101 for a 217 batting average, so really struggling. And then, unfortunately, the ending to the game that a lot of us were not too happy about. Dansby Swanson had a really heads-up play. Garrett Hampson just overran the bag, or maybe was given the sign too late. Either way, we'll dive into that a little bit more, but either way, he was tagged out third to end the game, which is just not D-backs baseball. It's even Torrey's stressed multiple times in the pressers. Like those are the little things that they have to be better about to win these ball games. So that was a little bit of an unfortunate way to end it. But the main topic that we had here, at least the first one for this game, was that it was a pretty fucking solid day. There you go. Nice little pun there for you guys. I know I wasn't on the podcast with you guys on Friday to talk about the extension. I'll give my quick, maybe 30 minute, my goodness, 30-second thoughts about him. I think it's just really solid. It's nice to see that they're locking up the core of this team for a while. Obviously, I believe you mentioned, or one of you guys mentioned, because I did listen to the episode earlier today while grinding a little bit of MLB The Show. Did mention, obviously, they got Domo locked up. They got J Mart locked up. Corbin Carroll's locked up for a while. Cattell's still on a really team-friendly deal. Adding in Brandon Pfaadt to that, mix, and especially what we saw him last year, if he can just get even a little bit better, he's going to make that contract look even crazy. It's gonna show hey, you know what, it does pay to invest in your players early. We saw the Braves do it. Now we're seeing the Diamondbacks kind of start to get into it, and it's still every time I see one of these extensions, it really ingrains in my mind. I'm like, wow, the D-backs must have been in an insane fucking financial hole that they finally got out of just 2 years ago, and that's why they're spending all this money, which is great to see. But my question to you guys is, obviously, outside of the Kyle Tucker doing Kyle Tucker things, which in my opinion, he's one of the most, if not the most underrated slugger in baseball, putting up basically Juan Soto numbers every year, and was just kind of forgotten in the Astros lineup, but he is insane. outside of his 2-run shot that kind of made his outing look not as, I guess clean, especially if you're just a box score watcher, is how would you grade the first Fodder Day outing of 2025?
Probably solid B plus, but that's kind of this is who Brandon Fott is, and who we talked about him being. He's going to be a guy who's going to give you 6 innings and 3 runs. Like he's going to be a workhorse and be able to get you to your 7, 8, and 9 guys, and he's going to give you a chance to win. And that's what he did this day: 6 innings, 3 runs. This team should have won. Maybe not should have won, but the game should have been maybe a little bit. I don't know. It should have gone the D-backs way. Unfortunately, it didn't. Just because they couldn't get anything off of Shota. But I think that's kind of an issue that we might see going forward. I just want to see how they react against the Yankees. But the first pitch swinging that this team has had, I think, is a huge problem, and that's what they were doing against Shota and even against I forgot his name. Steele, like a lot of first pitch swinging. I think it's gonna become a problem down the line. But Brandon Fogg was great. This is who we expect him to be. A guy who's going to get you the 6 innings. He's not going to be, 10, 15 strikeouts or anything, but just a very efficient player. He had 78 pitches or something. He probably could have got another inning. The only issue truly was Kyle Tucker, just because he's Kyle Tucker. He's going to hit you really well. He's kind of the only guy who did any real damage against them. So if it wasn't for Kyle Tucker, you could be talking about him going 7 innings and shutting down the Cubs.
Even with that, like, still had low enough pitches that, like, maybe if Torrey wanted to, keep him in there longer, he could have. But I respect the decision, get him out there, throwing some guys in your bullpen, try to keep the game close, because they did. And they, again, didn't end the way we wanted it to. But, Kyle Tucker does Kyle Tucker things. He's so jittery in the box. He's just so anxious to hit. And I believe even Jeff brought up in our Discord, when they pitch him into his hot zones like that, especially multiple times in a row, even if it's not a terrible pitch, sometimes Kyle Tucker is just going to make it hurt, and he did. But Brandon, same question to you. Outside of obviously the Kyle Tucker home run there that made the numbers look a little bit, I guess, worse than they could have. How would you grade the first Fodder Day outing of 2025?
I mean, it's like Gabe said. That's what you want out of your starting pitchers. You want them to get you 18 outs. Like, that should be the goal. And out of the 5 starters that we have, they all can do that. Like, there are some teams where, like, your 4 or your 5 guy may not be able to get you through 5 just because they don't have the stuff. But this is why I thought Fott could get 200 innings this year if he makes all 32 starts. Is if he goes at least 6, and then, like, half of them he goes in the 7th. Like, he has that kind of stuff. Like, and they brought it up on the broadcast is sometimes he tries to throw all of his pitches in the zone, and sometimes that's when he gets hit pretty hard. Like, he has some pretty good stuff that start aiming for the corners. Like, make these guys swing out of the zone. You might get a couple more strikeouts. Like, if this was, I don't know, 2-3 starts from now, I bet he goes out for the 7th, but it's the first start of the year. Torrey is very hesitant right now to really push guys because of all of the soft tissue injuries that we had last year. Like, so many guys, like Alec Thomas. Now, I know that Jerry wasn't a soft tissue, it was a meniscus, but we lost so many guys. Erod, Merrill Kelly, like, in that first month. So I get why Torrey's being a little bit more hesitant on some of these guys to start. And yeah, Brandon Fott is truly, like, this start, I was like, yep, you just proved that this extension was the right move. And you also proved that option for, what year was that? I think it's 2031, where it's a $21 million option. This start, to me, showed that is a good option to do. So, like, now the only blunder was his error that he had, but it's no big deal. And like we said, Kyle Tucker is Kyle Tucker. He's underrated because he played on a team with Jordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve. People are going to know his name this year.
Before he becomes a Yankee and gets paid like $300 million. But we'll have to wait for the offseason for that one. Then obviously, it was talked about on Twitter. Obviously, you saw the clip there. The D-backs did put up a fight in the ninth. They got the two runs from Gino on his home run to make it a 4-3 ball game. They had runners on first and second. With 2 outs, Corbin Carroll came up to the plate, put a ball in play that with his speed would have been safe and probably was going to be safe and would have left the bases loaded. But unfortunately, Garrett Hampson was caught rounding the bag a little too aggressively. Dansby Swanson, who apparently said that he practiced that play at Vanderbilt, just caught him lacking and just made a really nice play to tag him out. So my question obviously to you guys, and again, maybe I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts were, because I didn't see the full clip. I don't know if Josh wanted to play it. I guess he played it again right there, but I didn't see if Larkin put up the sign too late, or if it's generally one of those where he was just, maybe a little bit too aggressive. So was this, kind of situation that the game ended and left a little bit of sour taste in our mouth? Was it Hampson being overly aggressive / not looking for Larkin's sign, or did Sean Larkin just get too greedy, or just in general, just throw the break sign up way too late and not enough time for Garrett Hampson to actually react to it?
I think it's just the problem that we saw all series long, which is the complete lack of fundamentals that this team has. They, with the amount of just random little errors, and this team already has 5 errors. That's not even counting the 2 that occurred on, was it Thursday, and then a couple of other days where you're kind of like, yeah, that could be counted as an error, but maybe not. But the fielder's choice by Perdomo and the Jake just dropped fly out, those aren't errors, and even then we have 5 errors on the season so far. Just weird base running mistakes. They've almost gotten caught stealing a couple times. It's just overall just been a very, very sloppy play overall, and all aspects of the game, but specifically the base running and then the defense. It's just been incredibly sloppy, and so this is just kind of the way it's been. And I think Tori and the rest of the crew, they're just going to have to really dig into this problem and prepare these guys, because it's the first weekend of the season, and they look like newbies out there. And I know this team is young, but they're not rookies. None of these guys are rookies. No one should be making such boneheaded mistakes like this. But seeing Hampson go in, I think even in our group chat, we were asking, like, why Hampson and not Alec? Like, this is probably be a perfect time for Alec to come into the game with his speed and base running ability, because any ball in the gap he scores from there. And I know Hampson is fast, but he's not as fast as Alec. And seeing him there, like, I understand with Tori, but that's why I do understand with Tori, is that he kind of is the only backup infielder that we have right now. But I can just think, like, damn, if Hazen and the rest of the guys would have decided to keep Lawler up here, that could have been Lawler at first base, or even Lawler running the bases, and that could have been Lawler at second base today instead of Hampson.
Yeah, so it definitely was not the D-backs that we're used to seeing with their fundamentals and all around. And I know we have some comments on Tori that we'll get to in just a minute here. But Brandon, I want to ask you the same question. Was this on Hampson being too aggressive / not looking for the sign, and just not having proper fundamentals and that we're used to seeing, like Gabe was saying? Or are you kind of on the same page as Jeff and Eric in the comments? Because Jeff's saying that was on the new third base coach, in his opinion, and then even Eric saying Tony Perez-Chica stops him at third. So you on Gabe's, like, are you kind of agreeing with Gabe and saying that's just poor fundamentals from him and the team in general, or do you think this is more on the new third base coach, just either not putting up the sign or just not communicating and putting up the sign sooner?
So I watched this clip way too many times. It's probably like 20 or 30 because I was really trying to find out, all right, who was at fault? And every clip that I could see is Hampson looked like he had his head down as he was rounding the base. So I think he was trying to make a play himself. I think he's like, this is my new team. This is what I'm here for. Late inning speed. And he was just trying to make a play. I think what he was going to try and do is if Dansby threw it, like, he'd be like 15 feet off a third. Maybe it's a bad throw, errant throw, and he walks in. It could also be a mixture of the two, of Hampson and Larkin. They're both brand new. They're both trying to make a name for themselves with this team right off the bat. So it sucks that this had to happen. I think it would have felt a lot worse had we not won today. Like, because then it'd be like we blew 2 games there. But yeah, like if you would have asked me how I felt about this last night, I would have been a lot more angry and frustrated. But I've definitely had time to sit with it. Like, he was just trying to be aggressive. That's all Hampton was trying to do because he knows that's what his role is on this team. Start probably once a week, and then that's that late inning speed off the bench. So, but props to freaking Swanson for literally running 45 feet in between short and third to get him there, because Hampton's probably 15, 20 feet off the base. Like, I'm like, if you're that far, just run to home at that point. Like, I feel like run down in a pickle, maybe they get a bad throw. And then it just didn't work out, like this play. And I hope everyone can move on from this and not bring this up like in like a month or two. It's like, oh, what if we won that game against the Cubs? It doesn't matter now. Just next time we play them in Chicago, take at least 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and
so
then we'll have won the season series and it won't matter.
yeah, even looking at the clip a few times, it definitely did seem kind of like a little bit of a mixture of both. Like, looked like Sean Larkin was kind of more pointing at, whatever his right hand was up pointing at. Didn't seem like he was putting up the stop sign. It looked like he was kind of like, trying to signal to Hampton, which, again, maybe it's just a mixture of both. But either way, it is, it was unfortunate how the game ended. But there were a few comments from Torlavello, or at least Torlavello did have some thoughts from himself on, the exact situation and, kind of how the game kind of unraveled there at the end.
Corbin hit it softly, so just trying to be aggressive. Maybe, if they throw it to first, try to score a tying run. But, understanding one of the fastest guys in the league who hit it, there's probably no play at first. So, yeah, bad play. Cost us a chance to tie it. Yeah, in my mind, if he throws it, I might take a gamble there. And I know the third baseman kind of went for it too. So, credit to Dansby. That was a great play. I don't know. I'll have to watch replay, but it seemed like he kind of made up his mind early and anticipated me kind of running it. So, credit to him. But, unfortunate, the game ended there.
You saw maybe a little bit of base running blunder there. We made a couple outs on the bases today. That isn't D-back baseball. So they're all identifiable things. They don't show up in the box score. I know what they are. The coaches know what they are. The players know what they are, and we got to fix that. Look, he's in the game to steal a base. He's in the game to score a run, make something happen. So he's edgy. He's on edge, and we've all been there in life, right? When you want something so bad, you're just gassed up and ready to do it. I just think he had to slow down the moment, understand the type of play that needed to be made, and exactly what Corbin was going to be doing down the line. I know what Garrett was thinking. He thought he was going to be safe at first, and the ball was going to be on its way to first base when he turned.
Yeah, so it is nice seeing. Obviously, I know it's not like he would have been blaming anybody, but it's nice to know that he's accountable. He knows it was unfortunate, and they're just going to do their best to not have it be in the future. But Ryan, shout out you, Ryan, checking in from work. Glorious image of Gino. Yes, once again, Josh absolutely cooked up an immaculate banger for our thumbnail, because that's all he seems to do ever. But Vi, I love your nickname. You're saying he did great today. I'm over my beef with Hamster. I'm definitely gonna call him that now. I love that nickname, honestly. And then Eric does bring up a good point where it's something that we've harped on all offseason, and we'll probably just, especially with it fresh in our mind from how the season ended last year, saying that we missed a playoff by 1 game last year and we can't do late inning mistakes. And I fully agree, and I'm just hoping that this is something that the team in general, and the series in general, whether it was this late inning mistakes or the error, or even I know that it was an absolute perfect throw from Pete Crow Armstrong, but that's on you. Yes, Naylor, I get you. You can be a savvy base runner, but maybe know that Pete has a pretty solid arm, and if that was hit a little bit further, you might make it. But just gotta tip the cap to Pete on there. That was an insanely good throw on him, like a genuinely perfect throw. But the D-backs did just have to kind of have a tough pill to swallow there, losing that game only by 1 run against a team they could be competing with in the National League wild card, and just kind of try to flush it. And they attempted to do it, as obviously moved on into today's game, the one that's definitely a lot fresher in everyone's mind. The ending to the game was definitely a lot better than what it was looking like for the first 7.5, almost 8 innings there. But a quick recap of everything for you guys that might have not been there. Eduardo Rodriguez was pretty solid in his first outing of the year. He went into the 6th inning going 5 1/3, gave up 3 hits. 2 of them were unfortunately home runs, 3 runs, 3 walks, and then 5 strikeouts. The D-backs once again have a little bit of a walk issue, which is always seems to be a killer. Dansby and Seiya were the ones that went yard. Offense could not figure out Matthew Boyd today, which I just kind of had a feeling like it always seems like there's one pitcher that maybe on paper you're like, okay, they should hit this guy pretty well, and they just can't. So he did go 5 innings, gave up no runs with 4 hits. He walked 3 as well, and then struck out 5 as well. Herrera got the start, so Gabby could get the day off for 6 innings. Mantiply gets the 8th and gave up a 3-run tanker to Kyle Tucker. Once again, one of the more underrated hitters in MLB. And the D-backs, especially like a lot of us, we were probably like down. We're probably like, damn, like we're going to be losing this game. Like, my goodness, Kyle Tucker just dunking that into the 8-hole corner or 8-hole pocket there. On a hanger from Mantiply. But the D-backs did not go down. They did not let that, sour their mood. They were ready to hit. As the bottom of the 8th was absolutely wild. It started off with an Alec walk, Corbin walk, Cattell grounded out. So it looked like, oh, you know what, maybe it's going to be another one of these. But the team, I believe, was 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position before that ground out. So they weren't looking good. But then Domo used his leg kick and got some power, got a 2-run double into the right center gap. Lourdes, first pitch, tank, tied the game up 6-6. Gabby came in again after getting the day off for some rest for only 6 innings. He got a single. He was now 2 for 2 on the day with an RBI, so that was really solid from Gabby coming off the bench. Naylor's been absolutely clutch. Amazing day, 3 walks with 2 hits from him. He hit a RBI double that gave them the lead at 7-6. Gino got intentionally walked, which brought in Ryan Nelson because the D-backs did sacrifice their designated hitter in the 6th inning when there was a bunch of changes and all that. After Naylor and Gino, I give it more to Naylor. The pitcher did not looking back at second, and he said, thank you very much. Him and Gino did a little double steal, so got runners on to second and third with 1 out. And Ryan Nelson got a pitch that wasn't even in the zone, knocked it up the middle for an RBI. Gino got thrown out at home, but Nelson did advance to second base on the throw, which turned out to be a really good decision because then Alec Thomas came up next. He hit an RBI single, the young king continuing to stay hot, made it a 9-6 ball game, and then Corbin Carroll stepped in the box and he ripped a piss missile to the left center gap that was just a few feet short of being a 2-run bomb. And he made it a 10-6 ball game before Cattell grounded out to end the slaughter fest that was the 8th inning. Again, 8 runs in the bottom of the 8th was actually insane. And then AJ Puck came out in the 9th. Not a clean 1-2-3 9th inning, but didn't give up any runs, and he shut the door. So obviously, the first topic we had here from this game is, what I just spent most of that time talking about was the crazy 8th inning, where the 8th inning was an absolute roller coaster ride from going down 4 runs after the Tucker 3-run bomb to putting up 8 runs and batting around, especially with Ryan Nelson getting his first career knock. That was pretty cool. My question to you guys is just, generally try to explain your thoughts on how the entire inning unraveled into, just what happened throughout that entire 30-minute span.
Yeah, just kind of so early. I don't know. We might need more time at this point. I think it's probably the most controversial game of the season so far. Overall, I think a lot of people were very frustrated.
In the whole league, by the way, not just for us.
Yeah. But a lot of people were very frustrated with the way things were unraveling throughout. Just when Torrey took out the first part of the lineup, everyone was like, man, he's resting Corbin and Gabby today. Like, rest one or the other, man. Like, don't rest all these guys all at once. And then, just they couldn't score, and usually they can't score because their best hitters are out. And so at that point, there was already issues. And then Torrey eventually started to trickle down the main starters, and then he made the baffling decision to put in Mantiply in a 3-2 game in the 8th inning when he had AJ Puck warming up as well. And at that point, when he brought in Mantiply, I was like, is he punting away a game? Like, is that what's going on here? Like, why would you bring in Mantiply in this situation when you have AJ Puck ready to go? Like, is Puk injured? Why hasn't he pitched in the last 36 innings? Like he hasn't pitched all series long. But then Matsuplay came in and then he threw a freaking 89-mile-per-hour ball to Kyle Tucker, who of course just destroyed that ball. And at that point, I think everyone was just like, "Damn, are we really gonna lose another game to the Cubs and go down 1-2-3, going against the Yankees in the next series, who are incredibly hot right now? Like this team could be buried before the season even truly starts." Like it was starting to get really, really frustrating. And then, I mean, I got into a little bit of an argument with my brother because he kept saying like, "Oh, well, the offense didn't do anything. Look, there's down 3-2. Why, what does it matter?" I'm like, I trust this offense. This offense is very good. Like I trust them to at least put up 5 runs a game. And being down by 1 run is a lot different than being down 4 runs. Like coming back from 4 runs is a lot harder because it's just the way the game plan and everything works out. And guys just swing out of their shoes a lot of those times as well when they're down by that many runs. But when you have 2 innings left, you're down by 1 run. Why are you going to Matsuplay? Why aren't you going for Jamar and AJ Puk? And then he brought in Jamar anyways. So I'm like, both of them were available, and he went with Matsuplay, who put this game out of reach. And then luckily this offense just showed up, and luckily the Cubs bullpen is not very good, and they shoved it down their throats, and then they. Should I keep going?
Oh yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. All right. And then, yeah. So, yeah. And it's just a lot of people like getting all, I don't know, high and mighty about like, oh, see, this is why you don't give up on the team, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, they're down by 4 runs, man. Like, it's hard to feel, fantastic about that, especially with all these sort of moves and stuff. But yeah, just overall, my thoughts was just like, damn, I can't believe this was happening. And it just kept going and going. And then luckily they got the win.
Yeah, it looks like we maybe have some technical issues. It looks like the MLB, even though hey, fair use MLB, this is come on now. They did just stop our thing, so I guess we'll give it a minute here while we try to reboot everything up here because I know it says live for us still, but I think that everybody else can't see us currently.
Right.
Yeah,
I think we should maybe not use as many clips anymore. I think we're using way too many, or for too long.
Yeah, I mean, I still thought